Welcome home and happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We're Baltimore Positive. We're WNST. I am Nestor, and tell you what, we got football happening around here. We got turkey. We got pumpkin pie leftovers, as well as the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery. We're getting into December. 5 Maryland Crab Cake Tours, including our holiday spirit at Costas later on in the month. And I tell you, it's been an interesting month around here from a sports perspective. Of our partnership with Coppin State University. We talk education. We've had students, student athletes, student government leaders on. I've had Stu on in time for basketball season. But the volleyball team, it's been a little while since I've had Coach Tim Walsh on from Coppin. And I tell you what, MEAC championship, I get Steve's notes. I get Ruffin's notes. I'm on the Coppin State hotline here with the Eagles. Congratulations for the victories and winning the championship for the MEAC this year.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been fun.
Well, I tell you what, let's start at the top with volleyball. You've been a recurring a character around here for a number of years. You've been on the show many times talking about what collegiate volleyball is. You've dedicated large parts of your life to it, as well as sign language, which I always like talking to you because I'm always fascinated by that part of your education. But young athletes, bringing them in, you've created quite a tradition. This is not your first go around and winning. Starting to put Coppin on the map in the MEAC with volleyball.
Yeah, that's the goal. We want to build a program where people recognize us on the mid, Atlantic region and just mid as a mid-major school that we can compete with some of the best out there and, give teams a run for their money, regardless of, where we're located, the size of our school, and all those kind of things. So we've done a great job. It's been really fun and exciting as we build the program and as we see success, and we continue to hope to do so in the future.
Yeah, I always think of, volleyball as being California schools and Pepperdine or maybe some bigger schools in the South. I look at your schedule and I see, the Princeton, Maryland, Rutgers earlier in the season. Tell me about, like, I think like a basketball coach, like play the tough competition at the beginning because that's the way my sports mind works all these years into this. But give me a little mindset of scheduling, what you're trying to do in the MEAC and what it means to win your conference.
Yeah, I think every coach kind of has their own perspective and thought process of how to schedule. For me, it's basically like, let's go out there, let's see big blocks, let's see big hitters, let's see fast offenses, and try to, just expose our student athletes to some of the top volleyball in this area and on the East Coast. And I think we've done a good job with that. And I think it helps prepare them for when we get to the MEAC. It's not as big, our conference, so our players aren't as tall. But they're athletic. And so it puts a nice like mix of it into like our program. And so we're able to see, those 6'4" players maybe at Rutgers. And then, when we get to the MEAC, now we're seeing maybe 5'10" middles, but they're a lot faster, a lot quicker. So, it helps balance things for us, I think, and exposing them to different things as student athletes really, I think, propels them into the MEAC and then into championships.
Yeah, Coach, we've talked about this before. This setting, if you're watching on YouTube, is where I lived for a long time, and I walk around the harbor. I lived downtown for 19 years, and there were always volleyball tournaments going on. It seemed like I would just see large stretches of girls in gear that said volleyball, and they were all playing over at the convention center. The recruiting part of this, the Title IX part of this, the NIL part of this, the Beach Olympics, part of this all sort of plays into, I would say, the marketing of your sport, but also, if I have a 10, 11, 12-year-old girl that soccer's a track, lacrosse is a track, softball's a track, volleyball's a heck of a track for young ladies, right?
Absolutely. And I think the sport's growing and continues to grow, and the exposure is increasing daily. And so, players typically, like you just said, are playing basketball and soccer. And now if you look at the trend, more and more younger athletes are starting to pick up volleyball at an earlier age. So you're seeing teams that are 8 years old, 9 years old, 10 years old playing volleyball, where before, when I was younger, we weren't exposed until, maybe middle school or high school. So it gives that advantage of, hey, like we could be as good as, kids are now starting, at 8, 9, 10. So it really does add to the sport a lot.
As far as recruiting and getting young people to come to Coppin, give me the speech, coach. And I guess in the modern era, and education means a lot. I hear a lot about NIL. I talk about NIL. I've seen symposiums at your level, all the way up to Maryland, all the way up to the Alabama football SEC type of where the money is. How much has any of that changed your program? You've been at this almost a decade at Coppin.
I think a lot changes, daily with different things and trends. However, like we are just a small school, and I don't think we'll ever be, the size of University of Maryland or anything like that. So, what I tell my players and, my recruits is like, we're here to support you academically, socially, athletically. We can grow you in all those, you know, situations, and we're just here to give you the best experience that we can give you. And sometimes when you go to a large school, you get lost. Maybe your classes, you go to some lectures that are 150 students. Like we don't have that here, so it's more one-to-one. So you're able to build those rapports and relationships with your professors, which ideally is what we want. We want to get you a degree. We want you to get into the real world and provide you with those internships. But of course, we want to teach you volleyball and win championships too. And so we're able to do that here, which is awesome. And so, the president here has done an amazing job of building our campus and building our community. And so I love that about him, and I love that for our students here at Coppin. And I think that will continue to grow. And our program has gotten better and better and better each and every year too. So, I think we're on a good trend, and I'm excited about that. But again, like, we're here to provide our student athletes with just, as much as we can provide with our staff. And so, you're not going to get lost here on campus. You're not just going to be a number. People are going to know who you are. People are going to, know your major. People are going to know what sport you play, and they're going to be here to support you, in every way possible.
Anybody that knows me knows we've been about a decade and a half now being the sports support for Coppin State sports, and you can find them at coppinstatesports.com. We've had games on, we've had volleyball games, basketball games, softball. We've done it all around here, but it's always great to come back, ring the bell, and talk about MEAC championships, which we're doing right now. So if you got lost in your turkey, or the Ravens playing twice in 4 days, last weekend, Coppin State ladies of volleyball went and won the championship. Give everybody the scheduling on volleyball, that it's a fall sport, and that the MEAC tournament fell, and what you needed to do in order to win. South Carolina State, Delaware State, Howard, and obviously this is you work all year to try to put together teams, keep kids in school healthy, all that kind of thing, and to win. I didn't want it to go quietly, and it was kind of an impressive little run. You haven't lost a match in a month, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's you got highs and lows with volleyball, so you could come out and kill a team in the first set and then get killed the second set. So you never know what you're going to get here. But I think consistency has been a pretty good thing for us from the beginning of preseason, which is August, where you're going and traveling to different tournaments, seeing different teams in different conferences. And then once conference play starts at the end of September, you're seeing all your MEAC teams. And in between, we kind of build some non-conference games so that, it's not just stagnant and we're just not seeing MEAC things. So, that's a little thing that we do as well here at Coppin. But, the tournament was fun. We were seeded number one. We were excited about that. And played South Carolina in the first round. I thought we played okay. I thought we knew we had to play better the next day. And then if we got past that, in the championship to win it, we're going to have to play our best volleyball. So I think overall, the girls really stepped up. We have an amazing team from number 18 to number 1. And so, the interchangeable players and the positions is just something that has benefited us all season. And so, we knew that there was not one game all season yet to the championship where everyone had played like their best volleyball. And so we had talked about it in film, and we're like, hey, this is going to happen. Like, we're going to put it all together. Everyone, all three of our primary passers are going to pass a 2.2. Our middle blockers are going to get solo blocks, block assists. We're going to spread the ball well. Our right side hitters are going to hit, over 300, and our outside hitters are going to hit over 300. And once we put it all together, like, we will be unstoppable. And so, we were able to do that in our final match against Howard, and that's just amazing. They're considered the Mecca and HBCUs, and their endowment is crazy, and their staffing is enormous. And so we don't have those comparables, but at the end of the day, we have the heart and soul and, we had the skill set to beat them. And so we were really, really excited about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm up on CoppinStateSports.com right now. You can go to the women's volleyball. You can see Coach Walsh's a bio page. But then you go to the roster here, and I see Puerto Rico, Texas, Puerto Rico, Maryland, Maryland, Puerto Rico, LA, Brazil, Puerto Rico, yeah, Illinois. It's nice to have some young ladies from Odenton and Laurel and here in Baltimore and other places, but we're reaching out in West Baltimore, Coppin, are we not?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you don't want to be isolated just in one spot. Volleyball is, throughout the world. And so bringing different cultures and different perspectives and different levels of game just helps elevate things in the gym. And so, we have done a good job of just recruiting good volleyball players, good students, good people, bringing them all together and getting them on the same page to try to win a championship. So, you see international kids, and you see the Puerto Ricans, and you see the LAs and the Texas and the Illinois. And so at the end of the day, what matters is that like they're all on the same page and we all have the same goal.
So I know you know sign language, and we're going to talk about that because it was a major for you, and I think it's an amazing thing. I have several friends with deaf children who now have cochlear implants, completely changed their lives in the way AI is transforming me, but do you speak any Portuguese? You speak Spanish, un poquito, or you have to learn, or just sign?
Yeah. No, our offense is based off of sign language, but I do not speak Spanish at all, Portuguese, nothing.
But you
So
sign like
I do.
internationally with the best of them.
Yes, we all can sign basic sign together, so we can do that. But I'm trying to learn. My players want me to learn and encourage me to learn, but I took Italian forever, so I always mix up Spanish and Italian, and my players are
Dude,
like,
Google
"Oh,
Translate, man. Just put it in the
yeah,
phone, man. That's all you need to do, right?
right, exactly,
All
exactly,
you need to say to the Brazilian girls is obrigado. Just thank you for,
yeah,
after you get a good point. Coach Tim Walsh is here. He is with Coppin State. They are our partners as always. And we mentioned Dr. Anthony Jenkins, who's always been a big part of what we've done around here, bringing some spirit and some enthusiasm. Nothing does that like when Ruffin prints up the MEAC champion volleyball shirts and sends them over to me to wear, that I get to wear them on the set here. Talk about signing a little bit. I just want to give you an opportunity to do that because I think it's such an amazing thing when I see it. I was positioned recently at a concert. I went to see Brian Adams up in Philadelphia, and one of my dear friends, her boys are deaf, and she would always get the seats near the stage where at like these crazy rock Ozfest kind of concerts, there's a signer who signs in front. My seat was in front of the signer in Philadelphia a couple weeks ago, and I shot a little video, and it kind of captured her heart because I see the signers like giving their singing their hearts out with their hands before shows, and I'm thinking, it'd be nice to know Spanish or French or even Portuguese to speak to your Brazilian team, but sign language would be an awesome thing to learn, and you kind of incorporated it under the court, huh?
yeah, absolutely. So elementary ed major with sign language, and then went and got my master's and taught at a deaf school, did my internship.
Can I
Uh,
ask why? Was there something that inspired you to do that?
Yeah, our school in New York was mainstream, so we had deaf students in our classrooms with an interpreter all day. So you were kind of forced to learn sign language. And so they took like 30 minutes every day and taught you just basic sign language so you could communicate with your fellow classmates. And so I kind of just knew some things, and then I took it as like a basic class as an elective at Towson. And I just flew through it and I was like, this is awesome. This is cool. Perfect way to like double major with education and get involved with that. And so graduated and then got my master's in deaf education. And now I'm using that like on the court, so we're all learning sign language. So our offensive schemes are based on signs. So but you'll see that throughout like every you know volleyball team. They have signs the setters gives, but ours are more based like American Sign Language things, rather than just hand signals. So, but it's pretty cool, but nothing crazy, nothing too complex, for our players, but we're all on the same page with it. So we love it. It's fun.
Yeah, if the kids at Howard figure out to sign some Gallaudet, you're going to steal your signs.
Right, you're right. It's true.
Tim Walsh is here. He's a congratulations. I would say better Thanksgiving when you win your tournament. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
What is off seed? What happens next?
So we'll go to NCAA's. We'll have our selection show Sunday. We'll play next week sometime, and then we'll take
So
some.
what kind of place will you go? Is it seated like East Coast region where you get on a bus? Will it be more are regional dates set and things like that, or
Yeah,
no?
it's all regional base, seeded 1 through 16. So just based on
High seed gets home. You go
yes.
there, right?
Yep. So we'll go to a high seed. So we'll go to a 1 or a 2.
All right. Well, shock the world then. How about that? Is that good?
Sounds great.
All right. We'll come back in a couple weeks. Tell me how you win some more matches and continue on through the tournament. How many teams in the tournament? Give me a little bracketing here. I'm trying to educate my audience as I get educated on Division One volleyball.
64 teams. So I think there's 32 automatic bids and then 32 qualifiers.
And you're automatic now because you won your conference.
Correct.
See, it is like basketball, but not completely, right?
Yeah, very similar. Yep.
All right.
Very similar.
Well, listen, then get some. Then the kids can't eat too much turkey this weekend, right? We got the biggest matches of the year next week.
Yeah, let them eat it and then we'll burn it off. We'll figure it out. So,
all right. Hydrate out there,
yeah,
rest up, and stay healthy for your team getting into the next week. Same thing I give the Ravens all the time. Luke is out in Owings Mills. Luke will be here covering all things Ravens as we get ready for the Pittsburgh Steelers next weekend, and we get all of our leftovers together. We're going to be doing the Maryland Crab Cake Tour presented by the Maryland Lottery. I have Raven scratch-offs to give away. We're going to be doing it in some new places. We're going to be at Deep Pasquale's, back again in Canton, but also at Honey's over in Halethorpe on the southwest side of town. And, of course, our big holiday extravaganza on the 18th of December. We'll be doing that at Costas in Dundalk, back in the homeland as well. I am Nestor. We are WNST AM 1570. Always talking some Coppin State University on the court, off the court, tournament time, as well as a holiday time. We're big appreciation for our partnership with Coppin State now going on a decade and a half, making us smile around here. We're the holidays. We're Baltimore positive. Stay with us.